Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is some Saturday, I guess, but I'm doing 40k tutorials, and this is the 38th tutorial. And I did the thing where I scrolled away from the guy that requested this sound, and now I don't know who requested the sound. That's fine, though. I'll put his name in the title like I always do, and the sound that I made sounds like this. It's a KOAN Sound, and it's actually from, it's an interesting request, because usually when I see this song show up, which is KOAN Sound and Asa's Tetsuo's Redemption, it's usually a very specific sound that people want to have recreated. The thing is that I've already done that. At least I've tried to do that in the 30k tutorials, and even in some of my how to bases, I've approached the style of sound since then because I've learned more. But this one actually was not that sound. It was this sort of squarey business. But let's talk about a little bit about the sound in the song. If you listen to it, which is linked in the description of this video if you want to compare and contrast. It's not just this one squarish sound. There's also it's layered together with a very, very filtered version of the main bass sound. It's somewhat obvious, but you can kind of approximate the motion by sort of alternating with what I have here. I've used the detune function up to multiplier 2, which creates a square wave. This is one way to make a square wave, because this is additive synthesis and sort of you are responsible for doing all the things, and that's one way of doing a particular thing. I got a little bit of prism, a little bit of unison, some panning and some phase, just regular sort of stuff. Also a little bit of chorus with one order, sort of just one voice of chorusing with low depth, regular-ish speed, and the cross all the way up. The cross kind of determines panning. It's pretty major most of the time, so I keep it up pretty high. A little bit of distortion and a little bit of reverb with the short decay. But all that's cool, and what I've done here is that for the volume mod there, I've actually done this via the pluck. And in the pluck shape, which is normally this is normally the pluck shape. What I've done here is I've brought down the levels to all be even. What this is saying is that every harmonic is going to diminish at the same rate. I could have done this just by going to the volume envelope here and creating a volume envelope, which is essentially what I've done. So I just like doing it like this, because then I have more control over stuff like that. Although you can control this anyway by having the domain envelope volume thingy here, which does essentially what this will do if you have any kind of volume automation. Volume enveloping. Like making a square wave using the detune versus doing the mixing. Again, it's just sort of a preference of how I personally decide I want to do the thing. Now, like the filtering that's going on here, we can do this in one of two ways. We can either EQ it to kind of sound like it, because again, it's not a very full frequency sound, but I'm using a bandpass with a very high bandwidth with the keyboard tracking to kind of create the sound. And this is important because if you sort of wiggle the bandpass around while you're playing notes, you get a lot of cool modulation options. And then if you listen to the original, you can hear kind of how that modulation works. Although in the original, the modulation is mostly from the other bass doing this, because the nature of these kind of neuro-y sort of modulaty sounds is actually just a lot of bandpass. It's like half bandpass and such. So when using the sound throat, come on, work. You can move around the bandpass at this sort of setting, and it'll kind of work out in your benefit. That's all that's happening. It's all that's being contained in this one patch. If you have any questions about any of this, you can download the patch in the description of this video along with the original song you can compare it to. Also, the link to the Reddit thread, which is the only location from which I'm taking requests. Although this is the 38th one, which means that I'm only doing 2 more until I get to 40. I am actually doing 10 more after the 40th one to celebrate getting 10,000 Facebook likes, which I got at the same time that I got 40,000 YouTube subscribers. So it was very interesting. So that's happening. So if you want to make a request, make it on the Reddit thread and nowhere else. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.